one time I had someone come up to me to receive Holy Communion, and on placing or presenting us at the body of Christ, they responded to me, "May he rest in peace." I've often reflected on that person has been celebrating perhaps Good Friday all of their lives. And the necessity there would have been in their life to go the further step in the journey with Christ, which we've demonstrated in the gospel today, of explanation of he is risen and he has, as it were, fulfilled the request of his Father in bringing new life not only to us individually, but to the world in which we live. Now you can look at the walk to Emmaus in two ways, and one of the ways I want to look at it today, on behalf of the acolytes or the acolytes-to-be, is that there's something very ironic about this journey, in the sense that these two gentlemen, these two friends, indirectly, or unknowingly or unwittingly, they tried to be evangelizers. And who were they evangelizing? But Jesus himself. They were trying to explain to him, this is what it's all about. Did you not know? Are you the only one around who has not heard this news? And I imagine that Jesus internally must have found this very, very amusing in some ways, you know. But he let them tell their story. So there's point number one. We must let people tell their story. So frequently we want to interfere in their story, because in the back of our head we know all the answers. After all, we're deacons in the Catholic Church, you know? We're priests, we're a bishop. Letting people tell their story where they are in faith, like that gentleman who said, "May you rest in peace." We're going to have plenty of opportunity to bring the good news of Jesus Christ. And to be an acolyte, there's an emphasis in this ministry on the Eucharist. It's kind of an official service that we give to the church, to the body of Christ, and being able to officially, as it were, administer the body of Christ to others on behalf of the church. So the other part of that story then is Jesus making himself known in the breaking of the bread. And the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles tells us about the church that has now matured to some extent, and they've become active in what we would call today social ministry, that they shared everything in common, and they wanted to make sure that people had basically the physical necessities of being able to live well or to live in dignity, and so they would share when there was needs amongst others. So there was that common dimension, which, you know, would be very hard to replicate in the type of world in which we live, where we share everything in common. Basically we don't. We all have our own houses, our own salaries, our own incomes, our own benefits, and we protect them with great strength, that these are very important to us. But the spirit of what they mean can still be lived out. How do we take care not only of the spiritual needs of people, but also the physical needs of people? And I think as acolytes, and ultimately as deacons in the church, that is your special service and your special ministry. That is part of your spiritual journey. So it's in that spirit that I induct you into the day as acolytes in the Catholic Church. I would conclude with this reflection that to be in a very practical way, as you minister at the altar, especially with the Eucharist, always remember to do it with reverence. Always remember, like even the practical things of clean linens and all of that, I think all of that should be taken care of. not that it's essence in itself, but it's a sign of our respect for the Eucharist and how it's taken care of. And other people are witnessing how we handle the Eucharist. And so we should always handle it with great reverence because of our doctrinal belief of the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist, which of course is the essential element that we're dealing with. And just like those two gentlemen on the way to Emmaus, they went and told other people about what they had learned from Jesus. We must go from the altar and tell other people what we have learned from Jesus and bring people to faith because of our ministry of the